Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of NinaRibena's Art Journal Prompts and More. It's the beginning of June and so time for a brand new prompt. And the prompt this month is repeat after me. We're going to do repetitive patterns and shapes and that kind of thing this month. Now today and for this week the prompt is Mandala Art, Mandala Art, however you want to pronounce it. I'm going to be doing dot painting, but you can choose any style of mandala that you like. You know, if you want to choose a piece out of an adult colouring book, then feel free to do so. But Google Mandala Art on Pinterest, Google it, YouTube. There are just so many ideas. You don't have to do dot art like I'm doing here. And I promise you that today's video will not be without error. I've not done this kind of thing before today. So, you know, you're going to have to bear with me. But if I can do it, then you can do it too. But as I say, you don't have to do dot painting if you don't want to. Interpret this any way you like. Now, these are the supplies that I am going to be using. First of all, I am going to be using some runny craft paint. This is just, you know, cheap craft paint. I've got a Do Craft Artiste in two colours. I've got Storm Cloud, which is an off-white, periwinkle, and then I've got a Deco Art. I think, is this a neon paint? It's a bright pink anyway, Tutti Frutti. So those are the paints I'm going to be using, and those are nice and runny, perfect for dot art. I'm keeping this down here because I've got some glare from a craft mat. I'm using black cardstock to do my dot art on, and I've got pieces of card that measure 4 inches by 4 inches, and I've drawn a grid. I've drawn horizontal and vertical lines here to find my centre point. I find that having a grid with only 4 lines is easy. Well, 2 lines split into 4 sections is easy for me. When I add any more diagonal lines, it just won't completely pear-shaped. I've had a couple of attempts at this already, and the hardest challenge for me is trying to keep my fists out of it and to, you know, stop myself smudging the paint. But we'll see how I get on. Now, I drew my lines by just placing my piece of cardstock on my craft mat here, and then I just drew a line with white pencil. In fact, I think I use this one here, which is the Derwent Inktense pencil. You could use a Stabilo or, but you want something that you can rub away that's erasable or, you know, water soluble, so that you can get rid of your guide marks. But, you know, you'll find doing this really helpful. You don't have to do it on black paper. If you don't want to, do it on white or any coloured cardstock that you like. Now, you will need a few basic tools. I think you will need a Q-tip and some rubbing alcohol to correct any mistakes that you might make. You'll need a rubber to rub out your marks once your paint is dry. And then I've just got a few mark making tools here that I've just found from my stash and around my home. My X-Acto knife has got a flat end, so, you know, that's perfect for making circles. This is a glue refill from my hot glue gun, again perfect for making circles. I've got a pencil that I've actually cut in half just because my camera is so close to me. I don't want to keep bashing it with my camera, but you know, the rubber end is perfect. I've also got a pen here with a flat end, again perfect. This is a reed diffuser that I've cut in half again because it was too long and I would keep bashing the camera, and I've just filed it down with an emery board. And then I've got some various shapes or sizes of stylus. That one there has got the largest round end, ball end, medium size, small size, and then they're even smaller on the other side as well. And you'll find that useful to, you know, if you come in with some larger dots, it's quite useful to have smaller ones just to fill and touch in, as you'll probably see. We'll see how we get on. And then I've got this tool here. I don't even know what this is. It's something obviously screws onto the end of this. I found this in the house toolbox. So those are the things that I'm going to be using. You could even use the ends of dressmaker's pins. So, you know, just grab whatever you can if you want to try this kind of thing. Now, I have, as I say, practiced this a couple of times, and I just find it incredibly difficult to talk and concentrate on getting the dots in the right position at the same time. I can't do it. So I'm going to put this on to fast forward. not too fast, you'll still be able to follow, and I'm going to do a voiceover. And so I'm starting off with my centre dot, trying to get it as central to those lines as I possibly can. Then I'm using the reed diffuser to add some smaller dots around the blue, starting off on the 4 lines first and then filling it in the middle, just because it's easier to get your spacing more even if you do it that way. Then using the rubber end of my pencil to add some larger dots in the same colour, and if you find at any stage that you don't quite have a full dot, just go over it again, pick up some more paint and go over it again, and you can see that I managed to splash my cardstock already, and so I'm just using a damp baby wipe just to mop the splash away. Now I want to add some detail around those larger dots, so I'm using a fairly small stylus here, starting at the top line and then working it down just so that the size of the dots just gets gradually smaller towards the bottom. And then starting off and doing the same on the left hand side, and I just keep these dots to the 4 outer circles. Now you may find that by the time you get to the last couple of dots you haven't quite got enough paint on your stylus, so I just take a smaller stylus and re-dip just to define those dots and make sure that, that they're filled in nicely. Now I take a slightly larger stylus this time and use white paint to add some contrast around the blue dots. And you'll see by the time I get to the left hand side I haven't quite got room to squeeze those last 2 dots in. So I just take a slightly smaller stylus and add them that way. Now this is my first mistake. I haven't spaced those last 2 dots very well and they bug me. So I take a Q-tip and some isopropyl alcohol and just very carefully just wipe it away. And although you can see it slightly here, by the time I've touched those in, you can't really see it at all. So I'm able to fix my mistake. And you'll notice that I keep using a baby wipe to wipe off my stylus and my other tools, and it's just to stop any excess buildup of dried paint forming. So I'm using a refill from my hot glue gun just to add some larger dots here, and it's all about alternating the size of your dots just to make your piece interesting. I've just restricted mine to the 3 colours here just so that it doesn't get overly fussy. I've got no plan in mind either. I'm just taking it one step at a time, and just designing my pattern as I go. Now, I warned you that this piece wouldn't be without error, and here's another one. I've managed to get my fists in the blue paint this time. So Q-tip and isopropyl alcohol to the ready, and there we go. You can't even tell that I made a mistake. And this isn't the last mistake that I make either, but nothing that can't be fixed. Now, if you look at the pink dot to the right hand side, I've got my fist in it again, and I don't even notice to start off with, and so I end up dragging that paint further over the rest of the page. So again, I reach for my Q-tip and my isopropyl alcohol, but this time I need some black gesso just to cover things up. So I'm using a very small paintbrush and a tiny bit of gesso just to, you know, cover the mistake up. And by the time the gesso's dried, it doesn't leave any marks at all. You would never even know that I'd made that mistake. And I think it's important for you to see these mistakes. You know, none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes, and most of them are easily rectifiable. So, you know, if something goes wrong, don't panic. The chances are that you can put it right. Now I'm really happy with my design, and the only thing I want to add now is just a little bit of a border. So I'm just using that tool, which I've got no idea what it is, just to start off in the corner and work my way out to the left and to the bottom, just to graduate those dots, and that just finishes my piece off nicely. So here's my finished piece, and I'm really happy with how this has turned out. The paint is dry now, and I've rubbed out my guidelines, and you really can't see any evidence of those mistakes that I made. So, you know, that is good enough for me. I'm pretty happy with that. And I can see this being mounted onto a piece of white cardstock and used as a card front. And I might even take this to my local printers and see how many of these I can get onto a nice piece of A3 card, because I think they've made lovely prints, as you know, for thank you cards and that type of thing. Now, a couple of people that have been doing dot art that you might want to go and check out. For one, Marina Hopkinson in our group, one of our admins, she's got a YouTube channel called Mary Hop, and I'll leave the link to her channel in the description box below. Marina is an absolute whiz at dot art, and she's shared some of her wonderful artwork on her channel. Also, Sarah from My Serenity Crafts as well has been doing a lot of dot art recently, so again I'll leave the link to her channel, because you know she's been doing it for longer than I have, and she's got some great tutorials that you might want to check out. But also Google it. The prompt for this month, as I say, is repeat after me, and we're doing repetition and pattern and all that kind of thing this month, and I'm going to set a different challenge for us every week for the whole of June. So this week it's Mandala Art, so any type of mandala that you want to do. You don't have to do dot art if you don't want to, although I do hope that some of you will give it a try, because it's very relaxing and really good fun, and it doesn't take much before you get the hang of it either. And my advice to you is, if you want to try this, work on a piece of heavy cardstock. This is black 300 GSM cardstock. You don't have to use black, any colour cardstock, but something, you know, quite flat and stiff is a good idea, I think. And keep it small to start off with. My piece measures 4 inches by 4 inches, which I think is a doable size to start off with, and you know, nice for a card. So I look forward to seeing how everyone decides to interpret the prompt this week, and I look forward to seeing your wonderful artwork in the group. If you like this, as always, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and let me know what you think in the comments below. If you've got any questions, you know, please feel free to ask. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, then you know, please do so, and don't forget to press that bell so that you get notifications of all my future videos. And I shall be back again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.